Mersey River. Locals have built their lives around the river, which in its heyday was the country's greatest port after London. The Mersey River is the lifeblood of Liverpool, shaping not just the waterfront contours but the very soul of the people who live in the city. It stretches for 70 miles from Stockport to Liverpool Bay, and for centuries marked the boundary between the historic counties of Lancashire and Cheshire. So what does it mean to be a local, someone who's lived here all their life and whose families have worked on or by the river?
If you are born and you have grown up very close to water, in that proximity where it's, quite literally at the bottom of the road that you live on, I think that it creates sort of mixed emotions around water. But I'd say one of them is that it always, if I were to conceptualise home in some way, then it would be near water.
I'm a shipwright. I served my apprenticeship as a shipwright. I served my apprenticeship as a shipwright with Mersey Docks and Harbour Board. My grandfather served his apprenticeship with the Mersey Docks and Harbour Board. I worked in the same place as him, but much later than him. His father served his apprenticeship with the Mersey Docks and Harbour Board, or rather at that time with the Liverpool Docks Trustees, as they were known.
Well, my father went away to sea. And my grandfather was lost at sea at a very early age. He was only in his 20s. He was on a passenger line, and he was sent out to make sure the lifeboats didn't break adrift. So I think something had broke adrift, and he went out to get it fast again. And two of them were lost over the side, two local lads from Bootle, and he died in a very early age. And he turned the ship round, but it was shark infested waters, and he never found him again. And my dad was at sea, so I went to school on the Dock Road here, and I always wanted to be at sea. And
Mother's father, so my maternal grandfather, was a lorry driver on the dock, so he'd basically take cargo, from ships and drive it, but working for like the docks company. Whereas my dad was first started off just in the sort of warehouses of lugging, like basically moving cargo from ships onto into storage, and that kind of work, and vice versa. But later on, he became a forklift truck driver for the docks. So of working with various ships, coming in.
Many of Liverpool's families worked on the dock and its ships. The river saw its heyday and many prospered. Now, sadly, the river is in decline, with less people employed and much less activity.
But I started in 1950, and in those days the footfall was 57,000 people a day, and where I served my time was on the Gladstone Lock, which was the main entrance to the port for ships, and every tide there would be 5 or 6 ships coming in, and they would be carrying a whole range of cargoes. You can't imagine how romantic and poetic it was to know that the little ship passing you carried raisins and figs and oranges and tangerines from all the exotic ports in the Mediterranean, sugar and fish meal from South America, meat from Buenos Aires and New Zealand and Australia, wool from Australia, wood from Canada. Every imaginable commodity was passing twice a day before our eyes.
Where we are now was this was the canard berth. All the canard ships used to sail from here in the 70s, late 60s. This was full of ships, and there was a regular service every week, I think it was, and they'd sail through Sandon Dock. It was a hive of activity, trains, horses, everything was here. Now it's just derelict.
There are new ports being built in Bremerhaven, in Hamburg, in the Thames Gateway, in Gothenburg, all around the European coast, and there is an overcapacity for container ships. Whether we'll get much of that business, I don't know. I hope so, but I don't think it's going to be any great benefit to the people of Liverpool, because they're not employing us to work the ships. When I started working for the Mersey Docks and Harbour Board, they had 11,000 employees. Now I don't think they've got 300.
They've changed an awful lot, and I think for my dad's generation and where he grew up, it was a huge employer. So it was a massive percentage of people who we went to school with would work around the docks in some format, or in different jobs. But I don't think that's the case as much anymore. And I think as there's various schemes for Liverpool to once again become a port city, and to become to create a lot of real jobs for people in the city.
There is hope, and there is the chance that Liverpool's shipping industry will once again find a prosperous path. Many great ships still ply the river. It's true to say the river leaves a lasting impression to locals and visitors alike.
If you think of the famous symbols of the city as well, a lot of them are connected with water in some way. So whether that's obviously the ferry, as mentioned before, or whether it's the imagery of the live bird rising above Three Graces. I mean, the live birds would never be there if it were not for the water. The water's had a huge impact on a lot of those major sort of touch points of the city.
There's no seafarers left now, is there? There's none at all left. They're all, the merchant navy's gone. It's finished. So I'm glad I made the decision to come on a tugs. And looking back now, there's nothing that'd change ever. I mean, if I was coming out the school gates now, leaving school, I'd still want to do this. So it's been good, no regrets at all. I've seen a lot of things. I've seen the river at its best, at its worst.
The River Mersey and Liverpool once claimed to be the second city in the empire, and certainly the world's biggest ships belong to the port.
It has a great past. Whether it has a great future, I'm not sure.
Liverpool, a city of change, challenge and culture, where beautiful contrast lives on, where, in the words of Liverpool poet John Masefield and his tribute to the sea, "A wind's in the heart of me, a fire's in my heels, I am tired of brick and stone and rumbling wagon wheels. I hunger for the sea's edge, the limits of the land, where the wild old Irish sea is shouting at the sand."